All right, let's jump right into one of the most important books of the 20th century, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. What we're going to do here is walk through the incredible psychological journey that Frankl documented, a journey that shows us how we can find purpose even when facing the absolute worst that life can throw at us. Now, the thing that makes this book so unbelievably powerful is who wrote it. Viktor Frankl wasn't some theorist sitting comfortably in an office. He was a psychiatrist who actually lived through the Holocaust, a prisoner in Auschwitz. So these ideas, they weren't just theories, they were forged in the fires of the concentration camps. He's explaining a theory of human nature that he discovered under the most extreme circumstances you can possibly imagine. And that experience brings us to the one central, deeply human question the book asks. Think about it. When everything is taken from you, your family, your job, your dignity, even your own name, what is it that allows one person to keep going, while another just gives up? That's the question Frankl is trying to answer.
To even begin to find that answer, we have to start where he did. We've got to explore the first psychological phase of being a prisoner, the raw initial shock of arriving at a place like Auschwitz.
Frankl describes this just systematic process of dehumanization that kicks in the second the train doors slide open. It starts with something he calls the finger game. An SS officer just casually points his finger, left or right. One way meant you'd work, the other way meant the gas chambers. 90% went to the left. Then everything else is taken. Clothes, jewelry, even their hair. All that's left, as Frankl says, is their naked existence.
For Frankl, the real climax of this shock was a deeply personal one. He was a scientist, right? And he desperately tried to save the manuscript of his life's work. He even showed it to a senior prisoner, trying to explain how important it was. The prisoner's response? Just a single dismissive word. And in that one moment, Frankl got it. He understood the absolute truth of his new reality. In his own words, "I struck out my whole former life."
So after that initial shock begins to wear off, something else starts to set in. And that's the second phase of a prisoner's psychological journey, a deep descent into a state of what you could call relative apathy.
Frankl describes this apathy as a necessary emotional death. But here's the key: it was a survival tool. I mean, how else could you endure the constant, senseless brutality? You had to numb yourself. This blunting of feelings became a protective shell, really a self-defense mechanism that let people witness unspeakable horrors without completely shattering.
Now, along with this apathy came this retreat into a much more primitive state of mind. The constant strain of just trying to stay alive meant that all your thoughts, all your dreams, they became focused on the most basic things imaginable. Prisoners weren't dreaming of freedom or success, they were dreaming of bread, of cake, cigarettes, a warm bath.
So survival really just became a question of the how. How do I get through the day? How do I avoid a beating? How do I find one more scrap of food? But Frankl, being a psychiatrist, started to see that there was a much deeper question in play, a question that seemed to determine who made it and who didn't. Was there a why?
And this brings us to the absolute core of the entire book. Frankl often used this quote from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche to explain his central discovery. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. He saw it with his own eyes. The prisoners who lost all hope, who couldn't find a reason, a why to keep going, they were always the first to die. It wasn't just physical hardship that killed them, it was a lack of meaning.
This idea of having a why is everything. Frankl found that even in the deepest apathy, it was possible to find that meaning, and this realization was the foundation for his own psychological climb back up.
Frankl's first big breakthrough came during a frozen death march, stumbling for miles in the dark. To distract himself from the pain, he started thinking about his wife, imagining her face so clearly. And in that moment, this one thought just completely took him over. The ultimate salvation for mankind is through love.
And what's so profound here is that this love went way beyond the physical. He had no idea if his wife was even still alive. But you know what? It didn't matter. The image of her that he held inside him, her spiritual being, that was enough. It proved to him that a rich inner life could give a person the strength to overcome even the most desolate external world.
So from all these experiences, Frankl basically identified three main paths to finding meaning. First, through work, having a mission or a goal for the future. For him, it became about rewriting his lost book. Second, through love, caring deeply for another person, like we just saw. And third, and this might be the most important one, through our attitude when we're faced with suffering we can't avoid.
And Frankl gives this beautiful, small example of finding meaning. One evening, another prisoner runs into their hut, telling everyone to come outside to see the sunset. And so they stood there, watching the sky just light up with color over these gray, muddy huts. And one man turned to another and said, "How beautiful the world could be." Even in that place, a simple moment of beauty provided a powerful why.
So you see, all these sources of meaning, in work, in love, in courage, they all point to one profound truth that Frankl discovered: the one freedom that no one can ever take away from you.
This is the core lesson right here. Frankl argues that even in a place specifically designed to strip away your humanity, the kind of person you ultimately became was the result of an inner decision. It wasn't just a product of the horrific things happening around you.
And he saw proof of this all around him. He saw men walking through the barracks just to comfort others. He saw men who gave away their very last piece of bread. These small acts were actually monumental. They were proof that even when everything else is gone, people can still choose dignity, they can choose compassion, they can choose to be human.
And that all leads to this, the book's most powerful and enduring message. You can have everything taken away from you. Everything, except for one thing. The last of the human freedoms, the freedom to choose your attitude in any situation, to choose your own way. You can't control what happens to you in life, but you can always, always control how you respond.
And this is the challenge that Frankl leaves us with. It's not just about understanding what he went through. It's about applying this ultimate freedom to our own lives.
Which brings us to a final, really provocative question that his work forces every single one of us to ask ourselves. We might not face the horrors of a concentration camp, but we all face struggles. We all suffer. So the question is, in your own life, facing your own unique challenges, what's your why? What gives it meaning?